If you're eating keto foods and still not in ketosis, you're not broken. Most people are simply getting more carbs than they realize, and it's rarely from the obvious stuff like bread or soda. It's from hidden carbs, sneaky serving sizes, and labels that look keto-friendly but add up fast. Ketosis is basically a math problem your body solves every day. If carbs creep high enough, your liver makes less ketone fuel. That can happen even when your meals look low-carb at a glance. The goal here is not perfection. It's finding the few repeat offenders that quietly push you over your personal carb limit. In the next few minutes, you'll learn where hidden carbs show up most often. You'll also learn how to spot them quickly without turning eating into a full-time job. Moving to slide 2. First, a quick reality check on what ketosis actually means. Ketosis is a metabolic state where your body is using a lot more fat-derived fuel, including ketones. It usually happens when insulin stays relatively low and carbohydrate intake stays low enough for long enough. But low enough is not one universal number. Some people can stay in ketosis at 40 or 50 grams of net carbs. Others may need to be closer to 20. Activity levels, sleep, stress, and muscle mass all change the threshold. That's why two people can eat the same keto meal and get different results. So if you're not in ketosis, the problem might not be willpower. It might be that your personal carb ceiling is lower than you think, or you're accidentally exceeding it with foods that feel safe. Moving to slide 3. Now let's talk about the biggest label trap on keto: net carbs. Net carbs are usually calculated as total carbs minus fiber, and sometimes minus sugar alcohols. The problem is that not all fiber behaves the same, and not all sugar alcohols are truly non-impact. Some are partially absorbed and can raise blood sugar for certain people. Another issue is rounding. Labels can round down small amounts per serving, and those small amounts add up across multiple servings. Also, many keto products are engineered to taste like real dessert. That often means a mix of starches, fibers, and sweeteners that can behave differently in real life than on paper. If you're stalled, treat net carbs as an estimate, not a guarantee, and consider tracking total carbs for a week as a reality check. Moving to slide 4. One of the most common hidden carb sources is sauces and condiments. They look harmless because you use them in small amounts, but many are built on sugar, starch, or both. Ketchup, barbecue sauce, teriyaki, sweet chili sauce, and many salad dressings can deliver several grams of sugar in a couple tablespoons. Even savory sauces can hide carbs through thickeners like cornstarch, tapioca starch, or flour. The other issue is portion creep. You might log 1 tablespoon but pour 3. If you're eating keto but not getting ketones, audit your condiments for a week. Choose versions with no added sugar and check the ingredient list for starches. A simple oil and vinegar base can be the lowest surprise option. Moving to slide 5. Next up, dairy, especially the healthy or flavored kinds. Plain heavy cream and many hard cheeses can fit keto well. But milk, many yogurts, and a lot of cottage cheese can bring more lactose than you expect. Lactose is a sugar. Flavored yogurts are often the biggest issue, even when they're marketed as high protein. Then there are coffee drinks. A splash of milk, a flavored creamer, or a pre-made latte can quietly add 10, 20, even 30 grams of carbs. And because it's liquid, it doesn't feel like food, so it's easy to forget to count it. If you suspect dairy is pushing you out of ketosis, swap to unsweetened options and measure portions for a few days. Moving to slide 6. Let's hit nuts and nut flours, because they're a classic keto green light that can turn yellow fast. Whole nuts vary a lot. Macadamias and pecans are usually lower in carbs. Cashews and pistachios can be much higher. The bigger issue is volume. Nuts are easy to overeat because they're crunchy, salty, and snackable. 2 handfuls can become 4 without noticing. Nut butters have the same problem. Plus, some brands add sugar or starch. Then there's almond flour baking. A keto muffin can still be 6, 8, or 10 net carbs, and it rarely stays at 1 muffin. If ketosis is your goal, treat nuts like a measured ingredient, not a free snack, and read labels on nut butters like you would read candy. Moving to slide 7. Now the big one: keto breads, tortillas, and wraps. These products often rely on modified starches, added fibers, and protein isolates to mimic real bread. On the label, net carbs can look impressively low, but in practice, some people notice they stall, feel hungrier, or see higher glucose readings after eating them. Part of that is individual response. Part is that resistant or modified starch isn't always fully resistant once it's processed, cooked, and eaten. Another issue is serving size. One tortilla might be fine. 2 or 3 turns into a meaningful carb load, even by net carbs. If you're struggling, try a 2-week experiment. Remove keto bread products and replace them with whole food bases like eggs, leafy greens, or simple protein and veg meals. Moving to slide 8. Sugar alcohols deserve their own spotlight. You'll see erythritol, xylitol, sorbitol, maltitol, and blends in keto candy, bars, and ice cream. Here's the key point. They don't all behave the same. Maltitol, for example, is often more likely to raise blood sugar than erythritol. Some people also get digestive issues, which can make it harder to stick to a consistent plan. Another trap is the halo effect. If something says sugar-free, you might eat more of it. But the total carb load plus the sweet taste can keep cravings alive for some people. If you're not in ketosis, consider a simple test. Remove sweetened keto treats for a week. Keep meals savory and simple. Then reintroduce one product at a time and see what changes. Moving to slide 9. Vegetables are keto-friendly, but some are easier to overdo. The usual surprise list is onions, carrots, beets, peas, and winter squash. They're nutritious, but they're also higher in carbs than leafy greens or zucchini. The bigger issue is how they're used. Onions and carrots often go into soups, sauces, and stir-fries as a base. That base can turn into a large portion without you noticing. Then there are keto smoothies and bowls built around lots of vegetables, plus extras like yogurt or nut butter. Suddenly you're at 25 or 35 grams of net carbs in one meal. The fix is simple. Keep high-carb vegetables as accents, not foundations. Build the bulk of your plate from low-carb vegetables and measure the higher-carb ones for a while until your eye gets accurate. Moving to slide 10. Packaged keto snacks are another place hidden carbs sneak in. Think chips made from protein blends, keto cookies, and bars that claim 1 or 2 net carbs. These products often include multiple carb sources in small amounts: starches, fibers, glycerin, and sweeteners. Each one sounds minor, but together they can be significant. And snack foods are designed for repeat bites. It's easy to eat 2 servings, then another later, and still feel like you were being good. If you're trying to get into ketosis, you usually do better with meals than with constant snacking. A practical approach is to set a rule for a short period. 2 weeks of mostly whole foods: meat, fish, eggs, low-carb vegetables, and added fats as needed. Then add packaged snacks back only if they truly fit. Moving to slide 11. Let's talk beverages, because liquids can break ketosis quietly. Fruit juice is obvious, but the sneaky ones are flavored waters, zero-sugar drinks with hidden carbs, and alcohol. Some mixers contain sugar even when the drink tastes tart. Dry wine can be lower carb than sweet wine, but portions matter. And some spirits are carb-free, yet the mixers are not. There's also the appetite effect. Alcohol can lower inhibitions and increase snacking, which indirectly raises carbs. Another beverage trap is protein shakes. Many have added sugars, maltodextrin, or carb-heavy flavor systems. If you're troubleshooting ketosis, simplify your drinks: water, sparkling water, unsweetened tea, black coffee, and measured cream if you use it. Then check whether your healthy drink was actually your biggest carb source. Moving to slide 12. Even if carbs are perfect, you can still feel like ketosis isn't happening if protein and fat are mismatched for your goal. Protein is essential, but very high protein can reduce ketone levels for some people, especially if carbs are also creeping up. On the other side, keto doesn't mean drowning everything in fat. If you add lots of fat on top of already calorie-dense foods, you may not see the results you expect. Ketosis is about fuel selection, not automatically about fat loss or energy levels. The practical move is consistency. Pick a reasonable protein target, keep carbs controlled, and use fat to feel satisfied, not stuffed. If you're measuring ketones, look for trends across days, not one reading after one meal. Your body is not a light switch. Moving to slide 13. Here's a fast, practical way to find your hidden carbs without guessing forever. Run a short elimination audit. For 7 days, keep your food list boring on purpose. Choose whole proteins like meat, fish, or eggs. Add low-carb vegetables like leafy greens, broccoli, and zucchini. Use simple fats like olive oil, butter, or avocado. Avoid keto breads, tortillas, bars, sweetened treats, and most sauces. Keep dairy minimal and unsweetened. If your ketosis markers or how you feel improves, you've proven the issue was likely in the processed keto layer. Then reintroduce one category at a time. First condiments, then dairy, then keto bread, then treats. Give each category a couple days. You'll quickly identify which foods act like hidden carbs for you, even if the label says otherwise. Moving to slide 14. To wrap this up, remember the core idea. Most ketosis problems on keto foods come from hidden carbs plus easy overeating of packaged products. Start with the highest leverage checks: condiments, coffee add-ins, keto bread items, sweeteners, and snack foods. Then look at the quiet contributors like higher carb vegetables and dairy portions. If you want one simple rule, it's this: the more a food tries to imitate a high-carb food, the more carefully you should verify it. Keep your approach calm and experimental. You're not failing, you're collecting data. If you want more videos like this, subscribe. And for a quick reality check, comment with your biggest hidden carb suspect: A, sauces and dressings, or B, keto snacks and treats. This information is not a substitute for medical advice. Stabilize glucose. Unlock real energy.